Hey, all, welcome in another edition of Colorado Buffaloes Live at the Voice of College Football. I'm your host, Manny. Again, appreciate you all for being with us tonight. Please make sure to subscribe, like the video. Also follow me on X or Twitter. I did switch my name, or my handle, I should say, so it doesn't sound like a long phone number again, but it's at Manny _ 303. And then Instagram, which created as well. So it'll be 303 _ Manny. So just flip flop them. Again, any support, any help we can get in growing this channel, please, trying to grow it out. So did notice last night it was uploaded to Spotify, so there's another place. Understanding is it should be up on Apple as well soon, so Apple Podcast. So yeah, go ahead and take a look at those. iHeartRadio was up on, so yeah, good place to follow. And then again, make sure you follow on X at the VOCFB. All right, so today's show, so we're gonna have a camp update. I guess I should say first thing we're gonna do is jump into a couple questions that were asked either earlier in the week from Monday's show or last week's two shows that we did. Again, remember we are always going to be live here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. More so, I would say almost on the weekend. More so during the season. We'll see what that looks like a little bit. Gennaro, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. I did see that. I was on there earlier just checking him out a little bit. David does a fantastic show there with David Talks Buff. So pretty cool to see that. So yeah, appreciate that. So let's talk, and then we're going to jump into, so for camp updates, we'll talk about Dallin Hayden more than anything. Dude's having a terrific camp. And I think the Marshall Faulk impact now is starting to play some dividends as we start to get closer. So as we are starting to get more Marshall Faulk being there. We're going to talk about recruiting, and something that I did talk about was sharing a scouting report with you all. I'm going to bring that up on how I was taught to write a scouting report. It'll be for Ben Gula, so the recent, what was the interior offensive lineman commit from Florida, Fort Lauderdale, I believe. So we'll go over that. I'll share that with you guys. It'll take over the screen here, just to give us an update on it. I think it'd be really cool for us to start sharing. And again, once the website goes up, my website goes up, I'm going to start posting scouting reports there, player rankings, all these different kind of things, just to see what we can, I think those are really fun, personal hobby of mine. And then we had tons of questions on NIL, the house settlement. We're going to talk about that as well. So any questions you have for that, just ask during it. I'm going to bring up a couple of things. And then most importantly, the impact that the new settlement will have on, I guess I shouldn't say new, from a couple months ago, will have on Colorado moving forward. Then we're going to talk about defensive backs today. A couple questions we had from last week. So I think this was from earlier in the week, but it was from the Dub Will said trying to remember a team where the two QB styles were similar to CU's and it worked well. There's not a ton of them. I know it was Clemson tried it with, was it? I can't remember, but it was with Trevor Lawrence. I don't want to say Kate. I want to say that, but that's not who it was. Alabama. Some people will point to Alabama, but that was more so benching Jalen Hurts for Tua. The last that I can remember, even just a two, is 06 Florida, and that was with Tim Tebow and Chris Leak. One was a runner. One was a good pocket quarterback. I would say Caden Salter can throw a lot better than Tim Tebow could. So that one doesn't really do it justice. And the roles were kind of reversed, where the Chris Leak of them is the one that is Julian Lewis. And again, he would be the freshman. Tim Tebow would be the upperclassman. Tim Tebow would be the freshman that was coming in Caden Salter, but the roles reversed there. But Caden Salter is a lot different than Tim Tebow. So that is what I thought of. That is kind of the last thing that I could think of where it was a true two quarterback system. Next question was by, and again, if I pronounce this wrong, my fault completely. Gennaro X1P asked, is Zimmer going to CU? I mean, this is one I've been following. What Prime did say at Big 12 Media Day, so he did speak on that. This is without Byron Leftwich, which I'm praying that he does the right thing, and Mike Zimmer. Sanders said in his opening statement, we have 160 years of NFL experience. With those two added, that's 204 years of NFL experience, and I want those years. So to think that I don't know yet. I haven't heard a lot of any rumblings on it. Something I've been following closely. The hope would be that he would join. And again, just another thing on the coaching staff. I think Ethan asked last show, or was it the show before, about the offense coordinator Pat Shermer, kind of with Ethan being a Bronco fan and those kind of things, what they remembered from it. It does, and again, I don't know anything, just kind of trying to make sense of it. Part of you kind of wonders, Byron Leftwich, is this just kind of a transition year, or is that kind of who they would like to take over on the offensive side of the ball as a OC? Just kind of curious about that. And then Mike Zimmer, who knows what happened? Rob Livingston is a hell of a coach. So what ends up happening with him after this season is that stuff is hard to predict. I know that he turned down some, what reports have, I should say, is that he turned down some NFL positions to continue, or bigger positions, bigger roles, to continue working with Colorado. So you never know. So yeah, so we'll see with that moving forward, what that looks like. Camp updates. So it's a camp update, but it's a Dallin Hayden update. I kind of hit on him last show on Monday. Dallin Hayden is having a fantastic camp, and again, it does not surprise me when you start watching what he did coming out of high school. He was so let's dive into it. So out of high school, Dallin Hayden, 5'10", 205 pounds, out of Memphis, Tennessee, Christian Brothers High School. He was a 4-star prospect. So again, when we talk about the depth that Colorado is building, or even the playmakers, you almost forget that a lot of these guys that CU has picked up in the transfer portal were former 4-stars, and there is a lot of them on the roster. So again, this team is very, very talented. So when Hayden came out, he was ranked as the 226th overall prospect and 18th at running back. So that just should kind of give you an idea of the type of player that Colorado received in the transfer portal in 2024. So last year was his first year in Boulder. He's the son of former Tennessee Volunteers and NFL tailback Aaron Hayden, and his brother Chase Hayden, who signed with Arkansas as a 3-star in the class of 2017. So again, the bloodlines there, and again, expecting a huge season from Dallin Hayden in camp. Again, breaking off runs every which way, and we did talk about a little bit about the offensive line. It is a lot, way improved, a lot better, monsters up front. So it is. This is really, I think he's able to showcase himself. Those lanes are going to be there. He's going to be able, and a lot of the times last year when it was a passing down, you would see, when the running back was leaking out the back, whether it be a swing, left, wherever it may be, he would swing to the left, go, run out any kind of route, angle route. Dallin Hayden is very, very good at that. So I think, it was kind of alluded to, but Marshall Faulk, maybe he sees a little bit of himself in there. And again, not trying to put that kind of pressure on Dallin Hayden, because that is a Hall of Famer and one of the greatest running backs to ever play. But, the sky's the limit. And, kind of curious as to what Marshall, it's all good things, but I wonder what Marshall Faulk is teaching him, all these different tricks that, only Marshall Faulk can know, or somebody that played somebody that could play, that played at that high of a level as Marshall Faulk at the highest level. So, just to kind of give you a timeline of Dallin Hayden, so signed letter of intent on December 15, 2021 to Ohio State. A couple years later, he hit the portal April 16, 2024. And then 6 days later, on the 22nd of April 24, landed with the Buffs again that we talked last year. One of the scouting reports just pulled up on him. I haven't done any scouting report or anything like that on Dallin Hayden, but flashed as a tough one-cut runner, thrives in zone blocking scheme with good vision, bursts through the hole, strong contact, balance to finish runs, reliable short area receiver. And again, this is coming out of high school, so still needs polish and pass protection. And so this one, which says doesn't have elite lateral quickness, again, just kind of depends on your definition of what elite means in that sense. But if he's healthy, he's going to have a big season. I know it's kind of contradicting what I said last week. We were talking about last week Michael Welch when when you had to ask, but I mean, things change quickly in a week. Players, the idea is to build players, have them grow as a player, and that is what this is starting to look like with Dallin Hayden. Very, very interested to see. If you would, again, a week ago they asked who's going to start. I said Michael Welch, and again, we may be going back and forth this for a while, but it seemed right now it looks like Dallin Hayden. Again, we're not at camp. I'm not at camp. I don't see every rep that is taken. I don't see any of those things that happen. The drills that they're running through. Who's all of these different things. Even there was what was it last week? What's our guy's name from he was from gosh I can't Incarnate Ward, DeKalen Taylor, so the track hawk kind of asked about, he said who's just going to show up to work the hardest, or maybe that was Micah that said that. So again, we don't know any of those things that are going on. We get the highlights from camp, but again, everything sounds like that Dallin Hayden is shining. And again, maybe we Marshall Falk has found the next Marshall Falk. And again, not to put that pressure on him, but I'm pretty excited about that. Someone asked, I think it says Northside asked a question. We have a linebacker that could cover wheel routes. Do we have a linebacker that could cover wheel routes? And by wheel routes, are we talking from the slot? Are we talking from a tight end? Are we talking from a running back? So if you want to cover, we can jump to that here in a bit. And then what's Dallin's rating? When he transferred, he was seen as a 3-star. So naturally, what ends up happening is they enter the portal and they come in. They lose a star for some reason. And again, a player that we'll talk about, Noah King today from Kansas State, who was a 4-star, then hit the portal a couple months later and was seen as a 3-star. So again, it just depends. All these different scouting companies, On3, whatever it may be, it's basically just gonna depend on what they see. So let me see. But yeah, for Dallin Hayden, really excited for him. Should have a big season coming up. What a difference a week makes, right? The first week and a half of camp. What a difference that makes to see Dallin Hayden shining. I shouldn't say that I am a linebacker number. I can't think off the top. Sorry, I can't think about off the top of my head. Northside asked. We actually have a linebacker number 41. If you could put his name, I'm just drawing a blank right now. I would be happy to talk about him a little bit. But yeah, really excited for Dallin Hayden. Should have a big year. So questions were asked last week about. So the questions were asked a lot last week last show about what this means for Colorado. So NIL, and the settlement, those kind of things. So let me get this pulled up. So let's dive into yeah, we'll see where this ends up. It is very interesting right now with everything going on college sports. It's, like we talked about earlier in the week, they are flying by the seat of their pants. So just something to keep an eye on as we move forward, and just to try to follow that. If not, we'll bring updates here. I'll bring updates here to the channel. So let me see, where will we. Now let's look at what did I want? So just some recruiting. So let me pull some. So with recruiting, last night, so the Denver Post reported that Josiah Manu, offensive tackle, Thompson Valley High School out of Loveland, Colorado, that he flipped his recruit over from San Jose State to Colorado. So again, we'll see a little bit. We'll see what happens with that, but that is super exciting. Local kid stays home. I mean, more closer to Fort Collins, but good for him for not choosing CSU. I don't think really anybody wants to do that. So just so you know where I stand on it. So we'll look at him. So he's 6'5", 295-pound offensive tackle. And again, goes into that thing about Colorado building a monster. So I think we can kind of get the idea of what Prime, Coach Phillips, Coach Box are building in Boulder. They're huge offensive line. So really excited. He is currently a 3-star. Not sure how much that will stick. I haven't done a ton of film on him. Just kind of got wind of this last night. So again, have not had time to create a scouting report. I will do that as well and bring it to the channel. And then question, will the Texas schools be able to have a competitive advantage? I heard Texas has passed. Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. There's all kinds of different things going on. Earlier in the summer, it was Tennessee that it was essentially like you sign. There was something with the NIL. The SEC schools were all going to sign it, and if you don't sign this, then you're kicked out. The state of Tennessee passed. There was some kind of bill. I can't remember what it was, but they passed it basically to, I don't want to say protect themselves, but there's just like, well, kick us out of the SEC then. And again, I don't even know how you go about kicking a premier program like Tennessee out of the SEC, whether they're good or not. That is still one of the top programs in the country. So, and again, Texas, I don't know. I think we'll have to look a little. And again, I know that some states, I guess I should say, are trying to pass legislation to protect against this, and go back to the House settlement versus NCAA to what that came up with. But again, those Texas schools, SEC schools. So right, when we think of the Texas schools, right? Obviously, University of Texas, right? Texas Tech right now. That's that oil money, just paying players. Again, I was almost even curious, like, how do they keep doing this? Even if you look at, I can't remember the softball pitcher they had between, again, if you would even just take the $1 million plus Felix Ojo, what he was make, that's $9.5 million out of 20.5 that were being spent. I know there are some loopholes in some states and some areas of recruiting with this, but I'm going to dive into that a little bit, and we'll have that on the show for us next time as well to dive into that. And then what the next thing was Bengula. So what I wanted to do, something that I think is really cool is just to pull up we talked about this, but it's Bengula's scouting report. So one that I have done, again, these are not the end all be all, just something I like to do, something I learned how to do, how to write a scouting report. Look a little bit different than what you see on On3, 24/7 Sports, Rivals. They kind of have like a little write up. I don't know if I've ever come across an actual scouting report like this. It was not until how should I say, I took some training on this to be able to write scouting reports. So I'm gonna share that here in a second. So is recruiting and NIL coming from the same pot? As far as like the visits and things of that nature, like visiting, the whole trip, all those kind of things, is that what I believe that's a question. No. So the 20.5 is just to pay. So it is listed, I can't believe I met an individual who used to be a work for Texas's staff and had the opportunity of sitting in to hear, and he was talking about it is not even close to their budget for football as far as like just recruiting players and getting them out on visits there in Austin. It was pretty ridiculous. I think he said like there was essentially one weekend alone, or one weekend was about 250 $300,000 hosting like 4 or 5 recruits. So again, which kind of shows you again back to what Gennaro said, is that Texas money is different. Texas Tech, University of Texas, that money is a lot different than what a lot of the country has to play with. Even Alabama, Ole Miss, and again, Ole Miss is I really that one just blows my mind a little bit. But then you start thinking football, and it makes sense. But they're just never they're good enough to win 8 or 9 games every year. So again, I don't know. Big fan of Lane Kiffin though, but I don't know how that happens. They spend so much money in that program, but whole different story. And Texas for a while there before Sark got there. So just I think that's a good question. But no, they don't come from the same pot. There's a budget set aside, or however X amount of dollars allocated to by the athletic department or whomever it may be. So let's jump into this scouting report. But that's a great question. Let me see. So All right. So hopefully you enjoyed that, but that's a lot of fun for me. Again, let me know if there's even some players that in the comments. Again, on Twitter at Manny underscore 303. Let me know. More than happy to take a look at some players, run them through my scouting process that I've created. But again, just if you do want me to take a look at somebody, let me know. So let's go here. Oh, so now let's dive in. Let me make sure. Let's dive into the DBs at this point. So a room that I'm very, very excited for. So all right, so let's jump into the defensive backs today. So just to start, just the season overview. What we got used to last year. Again, no Travis Hunter this year. So once we get that out of the way, I don't want to say we're done talking about him, because at some point during the season we're going to say, well, if Travis was here, and again he's not. So let's take a look at segment. So let's look. Season 24 season overview. So opponent passing completion percentage. Colorado allowed a 58.46% completion rate. This ranked 74th nationally out of 134 FBS teams. So somebody asked last week, how many FBS teams are there? So last year there's 134. This year there's 136, with 2 teams added that actually the Buffs play against one of them, which is Delaware. The other is Missouri State. So there is now 136 FBS teams. So opponent yards per completion. So the opposing QBs average 11.1 yards per completion. So this puts CU 31st nationally, which again, pretty good when you start breaking it down into tiers. So opponent yards per completion, very, very good. They're very good last year. Now, I think when you did watch the spring game, the Buffs. We knew some ball hawks were going to be needed, and basically a reload was coming. So after we, again, like I said, watch the spring game, even look at the guys that have departed. Yeah, absolutely. I don't like calling it a rebuild, but a reload. Again, the way that the Buffs attack the transfer portal. So let's take a look at the departures and impact before we get to the additions, the returners, then the additions. So obviously, no more Travis Hunter. Huge loss, irreplaceable. The craziest part was last year, you would sit there and think to yourself, okay, so is he a better wide receiver or corner? Like you could not identify it. I know I struggled with that. I would ask myself that all the time. What's he going to play in the NFL? Wide receiver or corner? And it was just, I don't think there's a right answer. I think they're both right answers, I should actually say. So, as you've seen at Jaguar camp, it looks like he is going to be playing both sides. So, which is awesome. So really excited to see that. How did they rank in the Big 12? I'd have to pull that, but I would say more than likely in the top 5. Just ranked as 30. Where were we at? 31st nationally. I would say they're probably in the top 5 in the Big 12 ranked for opponent yards per completion. So now we move on. Shiloh. So Shiloh Sanders. Again, he's at Tampa Bay right now. So it sounds like he's having making his mark there, having a really good camp. So reliable coverage safety, and essentially out due to eligibility. Cameron Silman Craig, the Shark. So again, consistent starter, really good. He was one of the guys that popped off tape last year. I don't even remember what game. I think it was the Baylor game. No, I shouldn't even say that. We were watching, maybe it was Baylor, and maybe it was before that. Looked over at my wife and said, "Who is number 7?" And we just sat. I was like, "Oh, okay." So then it all clicked who he was, and I was like, "Man, he is just making play after play," because he kept jumping off the screen at me. Then we had and then Miles Slusher transferred to Arkansas. Colton Hood. So that one hurt. This one hurt. Moved to transferred to Tennessee. So these losses alone take away experience, playmaking, leadership from the defense. Good question. Which DB do you have taking Travis Hunter's spot? We'll talk about that. As far as like at the outside corners, correct? So if you want to answer that one, but I believe that's what you're talking about. Now, the returning DBs, who's still around? DJ McKinney. So this guy is, rated as a top 3 cornerback in the this spring's 2026 NFL draft. This dude can play. You watch him play even against Oklahoma State. The pick 6 he had, amazing player that he's going to have a big year. And again, we talked about it. People saying all this and that about what's happening at camp right now. Again, we don't know the situation, the drill. There's no help. It's a whole different ball game at camp when it's just one-on-one. Most individuals aren't, and especially Omario Miller. There's not a lot of people that can just cover him with no help, no nothing, and just here you go. Those kind of nothing. So there's not a lot not a lot of people can do that. So, but again, the top returning DB, 62 tackles last year, three interceptions, had a team high in pass breakups in 24, a contender for all Big 12. And again, like we talked about, 2026 top 3 corner in this coming April's draft. Preston Hodge. So he got an extra year of eligibility. So he will. I was reading somewhere maybe a couple months ago that they were going to try to play him outside. Hopefully he continues at nickel. He does have a different number this year, so you'll see him in number 4 this year, returning slot. And what I like to do is Robert Livingston said he's called him the straw that stirs the drink for his technical skills. So he is really excited for the year that these two are returning. It's huge. And then last year, Carter Stoutmeyer. So these are just kind of the guys that I wanted to elaborate a little more on. But Carter Stoutmeyer, again, another good safety. So recorded 42 tackles, 7 pass breakups, and then one more, RJ Johnson. So, and we'll dive into him a little bit more. But I really like what we see. The third back, yeah, we're going to get to that. I promise. The other outside back. So here's some of the additions. Transfers, Makari Vickers. So this one I was pumped when they got him. So this was more in the the winter portal in December. So from Oklahoma, former 4-star recruit. So he should, and again, he may be one that we see competing for a starting role. Tayon Parks from Illinois State, 3-star. He had a great 2024, 43 last season, 43 tackles, 11 pass breakups, 1 interception, 1 forced fumble. He was a top FCS corner last year. So, and then Noah King. This is one that I'm talking about. So, from Kansas State, he committed. Is a 25 class. He ended up, he was at Kansas just from, I think, even early enrolled from January to April, hit the portal and ended, moved to CU. But Noah King, he was just playing high school football last year, getting ready for his senior year. So he has 4 years of eligibility remaining. A younger guy, someone that I'm really, really excited for to watch him develop and grow. Tiresias Davis, from Wyoming, 3-star transfer. He originally committed to Utah and then decommitted from there and is now a Buff. My favorite get of the whole bunch, Taufik Bayard, from South Florida, former 3-star safety, adding depth. His brother is Kevin Bayard in the NFL, but really excited for what he's going to bring. Even watching him in the spring game, he can hit. Dude plays downhill, and then ball hawk as well. So I'm excited for Taufik. Terrence Love from Auburn, former 4-star prospect. So prospect meaning out of high school. Really, really fantastic. And again, we start breaking these down and looking what they were coming out of high school. These are 4-star guys. Fantastic players. So really, really exciting. And then the freshman, TJ Branch. This dude had a fantastic spring game. Again, coming in as a freshman from Northwestern High School out of Miami, Florida, 6'2", 6'2" safety. Tons of potential here. And I believe it was Penn State he originally committed to, decommitted from there, and then now he's a Buff. So, yeah, just super excited for that. Now, what I do have as of right now, and again, this can change, but your left cornerback, I would so we'll go to depth chart for the depth chart right now. Left cornerback, I would put RJ Johnson there. And again, we'll see. Been a lot of talk of him. There's been videos that come, either positive or negative. But we'll see. RJ Johnson is my guess right now, or you'll see, or I guess I say Tyrese Davis, the transfer from Wyoming. Your right cornerback, DJ McKinney. And then obviously nickel is going to be Preston Hodge with that extra year of eligibility. And then your strong safety, Tawfiq Byard. I think they have a very, very good secondary. Really excited for this. We're going to see, and again, like I said, you don't replace Travis Hunter. But again, I think, I don't want to say as a whole they're better, but I think depth as a whole, they are better. The depth, everything that's behind it, because you lose one corner or one of these players, there is a very good player ready to step back in and compete and play at a high level. Again, like we talked about, a lot of these dudes. So like, let's just look at it. Left cornerback. So I would say, and again, depending between RJ Johnson and Tyrese Davis, but you have Tayon Parks there, who we talked about. There's Ivan Yates, brings a lot, grad transfer. We look, and then you go back to the right cornerback, DJ McKinney. Behind him is Makari Vickers. And again, another very, very, very good player. I haven't seen too much where they're putting Noah King, where he's getting reps either at left corner or right corner. And again, it does matter. I don't want to say it doesn't matter. It does matter. If you're the boundary corner or the field corner, it does matter where you play. But just kind of curious what they're going to do with Noah King. And again, that's the 4-star from Kansas State that we talked about. And then your strong safety, Tawfiq Byard, I have him starting. Terrence Love behind him, former 4-star. Free safety, Carter Stoutmeyer, that we talked about, really good returner. And then one that we did not get to, but John Slaughter. So 3-star prospect, 3-star transfer. He's coming over from Tennessee. So whether he gets that time there or TJ Branch, the freshman, we'll see what that looks like. But I'm this depth that CU is building everywhere on the roster. They have a very, very deep, very, very deep roster this year. And again, that's come week 4 or 5, once you start entering into Big 12 play and get in the thick of it, once the weather starts cooling down, this is when it's needed, right? The depth wins. So really, really excited for this next season. Again, this secondary one of probably, I would say my just basically what has come in. The rebuild of it is my second favorite behind the offensive line. This is really looking forward to these guys, and they're going to improve this year. And again, not saying because Travis is irreplaceable again, but as a whole depth, they have a lot of good players. So let's see. So just basically just the big takeaway outlook, transfer heavy rebuild. Curious to see the instant impact of Tawfiq Byard, Stoutmeyer's leadership. I like I talked about, like the depth, the nickelback. To have one of those, that is a very difficult position to play. And luckily the Buffs have one that is really good in Preston Hodge. The youth. So just with TJ Branch and Noah King, excited to see if they get some burn this year. But TJ Branch in the spring game was lighting people up. You could hear, we didn't have the privilege of going this past year, but watching even on TV, ESPN, you could hear the pads popping. So, and again, that was when Branch was hitting somebody. So really excited. And again, first game starts August 29th. We'll see if they're ready. And again, this is not they get Georgia Tech at home, who's a very, very good team, well coached, has playmakers everywhere. What is it? It's Eric. Is it Rain? Eric Rains, the receiver that Georgia Tech has. I'll have to pull his head blanking right now, but very, very good. It's gonna put DJ McKinney to the test right away. That dude can play. He is really, really good. Again, future NFL draft pick. So he'll be playing on Sunday. So I'm really, really excited to see what this next season holds for CU from the back end of things. But yeah, I think for the DB breakdown, that's again all I got for today. If again, make sure to follow on either on X. Again, don't use the phone number one right there. It is at Manny_303, Instagram 303_Manny. And again, make sure to follow the Voice of College Football, again, at the VOCFB. But really, really excited. Really, really excited for the season. Next on Friday, we are going to be talking about where were we? Wide receiver, tight end. So we'll jump into that. And again, that is I guess the position. I don't want like the position that's returning or the most excited for, have the most outside of quarterback, I should say, because we have a good problem to have two quarterbacks that can play. But just really excited. I think the wide receiver room is going to end up being one of the best in the Big 12, if not in the nation. Let me see. Question real quick. Do you think C will ever have another two-way player? I mean, I think it just depends, right? Because that takes a lot of stamina, especially at altitude. Like what Travis Hunter was doing. Again, like the story we shared earlier in the week. The dude would run gassers and everybody's dying, grabbing water, and he's just sitting there just having fun still. I don't know if you'll ever see someone that successful again. One that I do think again this year that you'll see Isaiah Harge. He'll be out there on some offense, some defense, and again you'll see him return punts maybe here and there. But again, to the level that Travis Hunter played, no, and maybe to the amount of plays and snaps he got, no. I don't want to say never, but it's it hadn't happened up until Travis Hunter did it to that extent. So, but I mean, if there is a place to do that, it is Colorado. Again, obviously Dion will let you do that. He did it. Remember watching him line up in the slot for the Cowboys a couple times when I was younger, return punts, whatever it may be, and then go play as a lockdown corner. So I don't know the answer to that, but I would hope so. I think one of the ones that could have really benefited again was at Tennessee, Boot Carter. He could have been the next one to do it. Again, went to Tennessee, but yeah. So let me see. I want to see Shador's game report for this coming Friday. What do you mean game? Oh, what it looks like, or what do you mean by that? Let me just see if I think I can put this on the screen. So that was the question. Yeah, I want to see Shador Sanders game report for this coming Friday. I'm really excited to watch him. I didn't think I was gonna ever watch a Browns preseason game, ever. It's hard enough watching them during the regular season, and unless they're playing my team. But I'm gonna watch a ton of Browns games this year. I know that for sure. So, but yeah, really excited to watch him play. And again, he's getting the start. Hopefully, he gets. I think what I read is he's gonna get a good amount of drives. So I think kind of at that point they're going to have no decision but to start him. They keep playing him. So no choice, I should say. So, but yeah, again, make sure you follow. These are up. I know on Spotify, the podcast is up. Look for on the channel some cut ups of recent videos, maybe even a couple updates here and there. But we'll be back live on Friday, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And again, share this out with anybody. Really appreciate the support. And until next time, Sco Buffs, baby. Have a good one, guys.